Welcome once again to GatherVerse Summit 2026, Day 2. Shout out to Russell and Ellie for that wonderful fireside chat. Panelists, we're happy to have you join us from different regions around the world. And it's been an amazing summit since day one. Very wonderful and insightful panel conversation has been going on, and we've learned a lot. We've discussed human needs, human values, human impact. And today we're gathered to discuss human possibility, building for generations ahead. I'll start with introductions. Please ask for you to keep your microphones muted so we avoid distractions, and then we'll head straight to the conversation. I hope you're very much excited to share what you have for us today. I am Salvation Chigereoka, Global Programs Director at GatherVerse, and I'm joining from the beautiful island of Lagos, Nigeria. I welcome you all, Beth, Cam, Nagawa, Dr. Hemot, Devin, and Ian. Good to see you again, Ian. And yes, please, Beth, kindly introduce yourself. Tell us where you're joining us from and your inspiration for joining the summit.
Hi, yes, I'm Beth Zukowski. I'm co-founder of AI Between Worlds, where we really work with businesses and individuals on ethical, responsible, and culturally intelligent AI adoption. I'm also a mother of three, so this panel in particular is of interest to me personally, and I'm excited to be part of it with everyone. Thank you.
We welcome you, Beth. Happy to have you. Cam, please tell us where you're joining us from. Sorry, you're muted, Cam. Please unmute.
I am in Florida. I am the author of Savage Jill, Die to Live. It's and I have a system around it. It's for men, designed specifically for men who refuse to die slowly.
Interesting. Your inspiration for joining us, Cam. What inspired you to join the summit?
Well, the world is not heading in a good direction.
We welcome you, Cam, and congratulations on your book. I think it's the first book I've seen about men. So thank you for sharing that with us. Ian, please tell us where you are joining us from, your inspiration for joining us as well.
All right. I'm from South Korea, and I've been instructing many children, like for many different types of like academic disciplines, especially like usually English language. But I try to utilize many different like academia when they learn English so that they can take enough rest. And also I try to utilize AI in many ways, but I don't just give them a simple answers using this technology. Instead, I try to utilize it in more in a way that they can improve their cognitive abilities, like by giving them open-ended questions, and then AI can actually evaluate the answers very almost like very correctly. Like it can even evaluate it in terms of like in probabilistic terms. So that's what I do. So I try to utilize AI and cognitive scientific ideas and even logic in many like learning processes. And I'm happy to be here again.
We welcome you, Ian. That's like impactful work you're doing over there. We welcome you, Devin. Please.
Hello, everybody. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm from Los Angeles. I was in the Bay for over 8.5 years, doing mainly working in tech throughout various companies. Then I got into teaching, and I've been in the XR industry for over 10 years, and I've been teaching for 6. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Devin. We welcome you. We love teachers in GatherVerse. Good to have you join us. Dr. Hemot, please.
Hi, my name is Dr. Helmut Love, and I created over 750 million in revenue, impacted 2 billion lives at big companies like IBM Watson. I led a $250 million company there in AI and tech. And I'm here because I founded a nonprofit called the Gaily Impact, and I coach entrepreneurs on how to use strategy and AI to create good. I feel very strongly that AI is a great opportunity for those of us who use spiritual wisdom to drive good from it. And I am really excited about this particular conversation for two reasons. One, I am the mother of three daughters. I am in the LGBT community, and I ran for mayor of Atlanta with the belief that responsible capitalism can come from the ethical use of AI and tech, and it's up to really smart people to do that for the next generation. So I'm very excited about this group and this conversation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hammond. And that's really nice with the work you do. AI for good. That's it. We welcome you, Dr. Hammond. Nagawa, please.
Hi, I'm Nagawa, and I'm joining in from London. I'm a consultant for Azure Zenith, and also I'm also the co-founder of AI Between Worlds. My mother is also the executive director of the Early Childhood Development Action Network. So I'm deeply invested. My niece is 5 at the moment, so I'm deeply invested in her future, and I also help like organizations like adopt AI in an ethical and cultural intelligent way. So I really want to make sure that like how AI is adopted now helps.
Sorry, you're muted, Nagawa.
Sorry, I really want to make sure that like the way AI is adopted now is good for our people and planet, and that so that we can make sure the next generations get to have a better way of life now. But then with the help of like AI, so AI for good.
Thank you, Nagawa. We welcome you. I hope you're doing well. Are you cold?
Yes, I've got a cold. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us, panelists. Shall we begin? Awesome. Beth, I'd like for you to open the conversation with us. I think recently I stumbled upon a post on social media that said we are the last generation of people that has like left that know about social media. We're the last generation to know about what it felt like without social media, rather. And that got me concerned. It means that the next generation joining us, let's say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, would not be knowing what it felt like without social media. They will be born in the ideology of using AI tools. They will be born with education models created for AI tools, by AI tools to teach them. And that will be a different experience. I was born in the 90s. I'm a 90s kid and in the late 90s. So it's different. I grew up not knowing what it felt like to have a mobile phone, to have internet. I enjoyed playing outside the internet environment. But now we have the very different scenario in 2026. It means a lot of things has changed. We have children with tablets. Did you know that children within the age of 2 to 4 now have tablets in their homes, and they use this every day? So, Beth, please, I want you to share with us, how does building for future generations change how progress is identified today? What does it look like 20 years from now, 40 years from now? What does progress look like?
I want to be optimistic, of course, with some skepticism, but the optimist in me sees that a lot of the technology that we've developed over the years can really help to make our world a much better place and a much stronger place for the future generations. So where social media, yes, is definitely something that, my kids have grown up with and future generations will grow up with. I don't know that necessarily means that they're going to be at a disadvantage in some ways. I think that because they've grown up with it, they may have even a healthier dose of skepticism and a lot more questioning of what's good and what's true and what's real than perhaps when it first came out and we were exposed to it, right? So I think, for me, the progress is will our kids be healthy? Will they be happy? Will they be able to challenge assumptions? Will they be able to be inclusive and thinking about other people and understanding, how of the differences and be curious about the differences? rather than purely judgmental, right? And I think that with the technology, it allows them to ask deeper questions and be exposed to more than perhaps like my generation would have been. So I see a future where we can tackle environmental challenges. I see a future where we can encourage healthier habits than we have today. I see a future where educational gaps start to shrink. And so I do think that that there's a lot of positive change that will happen over the upcoming years.
I agree with you, Beth. I think in the positive usage, we're going to see positive results. I totally agree with you on that. Cam, would you like to add to this?
Yes, I have a different perspective. I think that we're confusing comfort with progress. A lot of the tools out there, do they really long-term, what impact do they have? People are living in cities for years and they need to use GPS because they can't, the tool is available for them, and then it limits their ability to navigate naturally. People forget, like when they're driving in directions, which way the sun is, if they know they're going east or west, where it sets. So I think a lot of the new technologies, they're not really helping your critical thinking, how to problem solve. It's just instant answers, and I don't think it's a good thing.
Full of speed. Yes, I agree. I agree. That's a very interesting perspective there. Who wants to add to this? Devin, go.
And I mean, to Cam's point, especially with the younger folks, because I teach a wide range. Lately, it's been elementary school, and I've been having a whole new awakening to just how this technology is affecting our younger youth. It's very interesting when you're dealing with kids who grew up in this era and that's all they know. All they know is digital, iPads, different things like that. But when it comes to terms of AI, a lot of times you see the switch between when I grew up having to write everything out and really use my cognitive thinking versus them just so resulting so quick to look up something and like not naturally give it a go. And it's like, okay, as an educator myself who encourages the use of AI, I have to, sometimes dial that back to where I'm like, okay, let's do this naturally. Okay, let's think this through. Let's build those cognitive thinking, that critical thinking skill set. So AI can be used as a tool and not a hindrance. Because a lot of times that's what it ends up being, and not so much with the younger kids, like more so middle school, high school range. Like that's where you see the drop off, where it's like, oh wow, like you had to use AI for that. Like that's should be something inherent, but I'm never blaming them. It's always the system and our education, what we fail to do as educators for our kids. So
Right.
just
Yeah, thank you, Devin. That was an interesting take on the subject. Very important. Thank you. Dr. Hammett, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, it's interesting to me because technology does not remove the moral, spiritual, ethical responsibility of a parent to parent. And I think the scary part is that what we see happening is the use of technology is driving a wealth gap, which is really not sustainable. When we figure out how to share more, then more parents can parent and be present with their children, so that the child's not just given the tech to simply replace, like I think Cam's a good example, right? Like I had to learn how to use a map simply because you needed that skill. And I can still do it, and I still keep it while I'm doing the other thing. And sometimes I go into autopilot, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm back to like map world, right? But I learned that skill because I came from a time when none of this stuff was digital, right? The TV was a brand new thing. So when we're talking about sort of how can we use AI to get everyone, no matter how much wealth they have, to have a truly human experience and learn both the tech side and the human side, that requires some wealth, right? Like mom and dad have to be present, or the school system you're going in needs to be one that has both modules of, right? It's both together. And until we get to a place where we're enabling using AI to give the most human of upbringings to every person, that to me is like, yes, right? We can all get a human childhood, and we can all use tech and learn how to use it alongside. And that's the fear where I think we're all dealing with is, to Cam's point, like, hey, just replace this complete skill set and you completely never learn how to navigate hiking a trail on your own. Like, that's a travesty, right? Where we've not created healthy humans if they can't simply walk the earth.
So we need to prepare parents, or parents need to prepare themselves for the future. Okay, I have.
Well, and I would say we have to prepare parenting. We have to enable parenting, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I have a follow-up question with that, Dr. Hammett, but I would want to say, in a scenario where kids need to learn the human side and parents are working, what do we do there? Because parents need to work, they have jobs, they have businesses. How can they be present? Considering you have work, you have parenting, what do you do?
Right. Well, I can only tell my own examples, right? So I would say the time I did have with my children was the most important time to be present and in dialogue and in play, or in like, let's ride the bike together. Let's go outside and do things, right? You also have the responsibility of knowing how much your child is using tech, and bucking against a system that says, oh, they all get tech. No, they don't. Not in my house. In my house, you get this for this amount of time. And those seem like harsh rules, but they're actually fatherly protection, right? I don't want you to be immersed in this whole other thing without the knowledge of what is the most human of things. That's a very conscientious thing. So before I say first, what do we do for the parent? I'd say each parent has to make a conscious decision. It's hard. Just as like it's hard to be a person out there, it's hard to be a parent, because now you're having to put boundaries, clear boundaries in place for your child. And then I would say that to the more broad conversation, you were saying like we're all busy. I think that's a social challenge we have. We've created so much work for some humans that they don't even have time to do the most human of things, right? And that's a greater wealth distribution question that we get to answer, because we're on the edge of that, right? If we don't fix these problems, we're going to have little humans that are extremely unhuman, unproductive, unhappy. And I don't want that to be my neighbor or your neighbor or any of us, right? I don't want that for us. And when we start seeing it as an us, maybe AI is what brings us together. Hopefully it brings us together and realize I freaking really care whether Salvation's daughter is raised well or not, because your daughter is my future son's wife, right? Let's get real.
Thank you, Dr. Hammer. That's a very, very interesting contribution to that question. You did justice to it. Ian, I'm coming over to you with the next question. Just a sec. Okay, it's here. What responsibilities exist towards children and young people who will inherit this technology? You handle students every day. You're an educationist. Tell us, what do you think? Ian, can you hear us?
All right. I think we have a lot of responsibilities, especially like so for now, we've been sort of like we are quite obsessed with efficiency, right? Using AI, we would like to create lots of wealth, and we would like to improve our life, and we would like to go ahead of others. But we need to teach our children that going ahead is actually like learning how to act ethically and and learning how to go to the right direction, like in a fast, I mean, in a slower pace. Like going fast is not always going like fast, in many cases. Like, so, I mean, the transformation, like learning things using AI, it's extremely helpful, like in many ways. We can actually, like, we don't even have to spend a lot of time in terms of learning many different, like, interdisciplinary knowledge. Like, if we really know how to use it, if we really know how to deliver the knowledge and skills to the children, so they need to learn. What really matters is how to socialize with others, how to share things, and how to help others. That will make them successful in their own life. I'm pretty sure about it, and I hope the future generation would get this point. But even in South Korea, students are suffering from lots of, like, a fierce education competition, and they have no time. 80% of Korean students go to, like, a private academies after school, so they don't have time to play, like, hang around with their friends. It's just like maybe more than 10 hours a day. They just have to learn and study, like in many cases, just like passively. So this is very toxic in many ways, and hopefully, so for me, so as an educator, I try to so I use lots of efficient way of teaching and learning methods, but I do this so that they can take enough rest, so that they can learn fast, and so that they can have enough rest and time for socializing. So I'm not just using this in a bad way. So I think, so like I said, the most important thing is we must teach them the best way of living their life is like knowing how to live ethically. Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking.
I think that's right. Yeah, ethical. We must teach them how to use this ethically. Devin, you're also an educationist. You also work with young people. From what Ian's shared here, we must teach them how to use these tools ethically. Teach them how to socialize outside of using AI. What's your contribution on this?
I exactly agree with Ian's point. It has to be an emphasis on ethics and a focus on humanity. Literally, just what he said. It's like making sure that we're rooted in that going forward, even with the use of AI, using it in a way that could enhance our humanity, as the good doctor said.
Yeah, right.
When implementing these practices, it goes into curriculum design and designing curriculum around ethics, around making sure that we're maintaining our humanity as we teach the future. Because the future is happening now. It's nothing that we can avoid. We have to embrace it. And our youth fully embraces it, whether they know it or not. They're living it. So it's like, how do we tailor education? How do we tailor curriculum to better serve them? And in my case, I wanted to kind of speak on something a little earlier, but it also kind of correlates now. Is the earlier question was, how do you change how progress is defined?
Yeah.
The measure of progress is what we define it as. In a way, it's subjective. So what we initially need to focus on is just finding our own definition to what we think is important, to what they think is important, and ask them. I ask my students, like, what do you see in your future? Like, what do you think is important? Because ultimately, by the time they get to do what they need to do, by the time it's their turn to change the world, I might not be here.
Yeah. Right.
So I ask them what their thoughts are on this, and then help guide them towards building something for themselves.
Yes,
Because
Devin.
I can only do so much, but what I can do, I will offer my services. I will make sure that they have the tools necessary to succeed and build whatever future they can fathom. So.
Thank you, Devin. I think you did justice to that. Nagawa, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm coming to you with the next question. How are today's innovations affecting the emotional and cognitive development of young people?
I think when it comes to like AI, it's changing the way they think and interact. So it's quite different to like when you were born, like in the 80s or 90s, to like how you're born now. And so everything is like quickly and fast, but we need to make sure that we counteract that to make sure that they're like emotionally balanced in their use. So it takes a village to raise a child. So I think that there should be like some more circular knowledge and like also like between like the generations. They can like learn from their grandparents as well. They can learn from we should involve the parents as well to make sure that like within the way that they're learning, it's like more balanced. So it's not that the bad side effects that we could have from like social media, like AI, are like counteracted by the way like parents are involved and like making sure that their kids are having a more balanced lifestyle. Like we're talking to them more about their emotions and like what they're going through, so that it's better for them. And we're involving the grandparents and other people in society as well, making sure that they have a better lifestyle. And I know, for example, in the UK at the moment, they're thinking of whether or not they should like ban social media, just like they're doing for kids under 16, like they did in Australia, to make sure that the bad side effects of like having when it comes to like cyberbullying, or when it comes, for example, to like the isolation you can feel, and that the compounds as well, that you're not getting that, and that you're able to like interact more people with people like in real life, say, to so that it's like better for the kids.
Nagawa. Okay, I have a follow-up question with what you just shared with us. And you mentioned parents should teach them, the elders should teach them on how to, manage their emotional intelligence and all that. I know we keep talking about AI, right? We keep saying AI, AI, AI. But most of the kids we're talking about right now are children in high school, over here in Nigeria, we use the word primary school, and that's maybe the grade school for you in America. And some of those children are not like interacting with AI right now, but they are interacting with games. They're playing mobile games. They're watching cartoons. How are we moderating that with kids watching cartoons, with kids playing mobile games? How are we moderating their emotional development? Nagawa.
I think when it comes to cartoons, the cartoons are still basically the same as we used to watch before. But when it comes to like mobile games, they're not designed in the way that games in the 90s were. These ones are like meant to keep you playing. They give you immediately they make you like have like immediate like say like a lot of like feedback, right? They're meant to like keep you playing, so they keep you giving like your dopamine hits all the time. So they're not, it's like in the 90s where you play a game, you play a session, you finish your strategy, and then you're that's it, you're done, and you go and do something else. So I
Yeah.
think we kind of like need to moderate how much time their usage is on playing games. Make sure they're playing physical games as well instead. Like you limit their time. Okay, right. You've had like your half an hour day of like screen time or whatever, and then now okay, we're gonna play a game like that involves the whole family or involves everybody else, so that they're like playing, they're socially interacting, and it's not just interacting with people like on the internet or like when they're playing games. So it's like a different way of doing things. So I think definitely we need to make sure that we have a balance between what is like mobile gaming and like just playing cards, playing, Monopoly, or there's certain things that like involve different skills. So I definitely think those should be moderated. And we should
Yeah.
also like co-design games with children to make sure that the type of games they're playing are like more like we had back in the 90s, right? And that they're also things that they can be more involved in, like can say learn from other people, or like even learn different languages. Because at the moment, the good thing about AI is that we can like try and find a way to like the languages that are disappearing to like create a database, and so it's easy for them. So I think when we have multilingual children, it also helps them tackle ideas differently, in more different ways, and it also helps them in the future as well. I think that could be a good way with like mobile gaming, that we could use things like Duolingo to help them learn different languages, and also not just learn the languages and speak them, but learn how people think in those languages and how they have their worldview, and so bring more context to it. So I think that could be a different way of like changing how mobile games are and could help the children.
Nagawa, thank you very much. That contribution was very profound. We have Siva Prakash joining us. Siva, good to have you on the call, on the panel. Please introduce yourself, tell us where you're joining us from, and your inspiration for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Salvation.
Yeah, sure, Salvation or
Shal-
Salvi.
Shalvi. Okay. Thank you, Shalvi. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Siva Prakash. I'm a software architect at Electric America. Electric America is a charging company where we are pioneering on the non-Tesla related charges. Wherever you go on the EV market, you must be seeing the charges outside. It's a kind of one of the primary green technology that we are pushing towards electric vehicle and also charging infrastructure. So that's where we are, and I'm part of their journey, and I'm happy that what I'm doing every day to help people to help the environment clean. So that's where I am. So that's pretty much from my side. Thank you for giving the opportunity again.
Yeah, you're welcome very much. Siva, right? Hope I pronounced your name correctly. Sorry, Siva.
Siva.
Yeah, yeah. You're very welcome, Siva, and great work with keeping the energy clean. Very important. Siva, we're discussing about human possibility, building for generations ahead. And I personally think that we are the generation to build what's going to come for the next generation. And it starts now. It starts today. It starts with what we're building, what we're prototyping, the ideation we have in the pipelines that are waiting for um, investors or whatnot. And we've talked about ethics. We've talked about responsible use of AI. Ian and Devin are educationists, and they've shared with us on how to protect, the students, teach them how to learn differently from using artificial intelligence, which is AI. Beth, Cam, and Dr. Hemat have also shared from the parental view and shared other perspective with us. So, Siva, I want you to take us to the next question. Share with us how intergenerational perspective inform more responsible innovation design.
Okay. What I could think of is that the idea behind is that it's an intergenerational thing.
Oh, we lost Siva there. Beth, please, let me come back to you. What do you have? Do you have anything to chime in on this?
Yeah. I mean, um, it's one of those things. I've been really lucky in that I knew three of my great grandparents. I knew all of my grandparents. My children knew a couple of their great grandparents. So I think it's very nice when that happens. I know that we're very blessed in that way, and not everyone has that opportunity. But I do believe that having that intergenerational knowledge, that memory, that family history, the traditions, the culture, the behaviors get passed down from generation to generation is important. And those stories are not necessarily something that's going to show up in technology. It's not going to show up in AI. It's not going to show up in the answers because those models haven't necessarily always been trained on all of the stories, all of the history. And so I think that part of it is how do we add those stories so that they're more widely known and that they are shared. And a big part of that is a generosity of sharing of different cultures and different backgrounds. And then that also helps inform the innovative design, right? So as you're exposed to new thinking, new behaviors, new practices, what does that change in your worldview? And so I think that all of those things are really important, and having that institutional memory of your family is very important and very nice when it can be shared.
Very much true. The wisdom of the old. But with what you just shared, I can also share that I am privileged to have had my grandma till I was 16. So you can imagine how long. And most of the things I personally know now was what I learned from my grandma. How to make it kind of meal, the recipes. I don't think I would have gotten that maybe if she wasn't there. And when you say intergenerational wisdom, it also brings me to culture, right? The cultures we share. Are we also bringing culture forward? I would like Dr. Hermit to contribute to this. Are we also passing down along the culture to our kids for the next generation, or is everybody going Gen Z with with fashion, education, and all that? Are we passing our culture to the next generation? Are we telling them this is the recipe? Are we telling them this is the story that made our people? This is the wisdom we got from our parents, our forefathers, and we want to pass it to you. Can you preserve this knowledge? Can you take it along with you? Is it going to be part of you? Dr. Hermit, please tell us.
This is so funny because I used to be such a culture breaker, and then I realized how vital this is. I think now I'm speaking as a Generation X. I often feel like if I'm talking to a millennial, Gen Z, where they have no clue what life was like before any of this. There are a few of us who still remember truly. Now, that depends on where you are in the world, right? But that really, really, truly remember. And that remembering is very important to determine how to use technology going forward, if that makes sense. It's super vital. And I almost feel like those of us who are more senior, you got to get out of the mindset that these are my kids and those are your kids and do whatever. I have to be an advocate for those who don't have the parents and mothers or grandfathers, whatever, around. Let's just first call about what human is, right? And I know that sounds silly to say, forget culture for a moment. Let's just talk about what is it to be human, right? And then you look at what are the cultural norms that we're healthy, that we need to keep, that we must keep, and which ones are those that are okay not to keep. That's something that you only get when you're further in the life game. Right? There are certain things that I know 20-year-olds right now and 30-year-olds think that are yeah. And I'm like, bitch, just wait till you get to this part. That's not a good idea. But you had to learn. And you only get that when you're older. And I think that we can't, honestly, regardless, I guess, of culture, I am fascinated. I've always been fascinated with the voices of older people. And do not mistake what they're telling you. They're giving you really important information. And we need to make sure they're part of the dialogue. Even when they're like, well, I don't know about that. There's something about it that you need to just stop and go, there's some truth that they have that we don't have. How do I make sure that I preserve the lesson of their life that they're sharing with me in what I'm doing? And the culture is part of that, right? The traditions, these beautiful things that got us here still get to be a part of getting us there. And I feel like a lot of times we fight the culture, and I'm talking about whether it's religion, whether it's political, whether it's tribal. We just want to just throw the whole thing out instead of going, wait a second, what about that got us here? Because some of it got us here. Some of it's really good stuff that we can't throw out. And that discernment is something that every one of us needs to do, but we're culturally doing. I feel like culturally we're doing it right now. What do we do? Where are we going from here? We have all the information, all the technology. What do we do now? And the question is, what do we want to choose from the cultures that serve us? And what do we want to let go? And that's not something I want 20-year-olds answering, no offense, or 30-year-olds alone. I want 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 70-year-olds at the table because they're going to speak with wisdom.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vermont. I think that's spot on. That's spot on. Cam, I'm coming over to you. I see you smiling. I want you to share your different perspective with us. What do you think? Cam, you're muted. You're muted. Please unmute.
I think when you have one generation in the room, you optimize for efficiency. And I think that when you have multiple generations in the room, you're optimizing for durability. And it's interesting the doctor brought up, he didn't, and there's a quote from Dickens, man, when he's 20, in his 20s and 60s, thinks he knows everything. He did skip the 60s in that category. So I think having a broad perspective, because we don't want to have long-term mistakes that could have been avoided if you just had more voices in the room looking at the long-term consequences instead of looking so short-term, which everyone is looking for short-term results, not long-term.
Right. 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 That was a spot on, Cam.
And how do we change that? And how do we change that, right? The question for our society is, how do we become long-term planners? It's like begging, like tech is begging us to like wake up and become long-term planners again. To the seventh generation, the natives planned for the seventh generation of impact. We need that kind of thinking to return.
Yeah, we do. Cam, you know when you said people like the twins always think they know everything. I once felt like that before when I was in my early 20s, like I know it all. Everything you say to me, I figured it out. So there's nothing you can say to me, I not know it all. And I was so exposed to books early. My dad is also an educationist. So I was really exposed to books. I felt like I figured it out. But over the years, I hear the sound of the voice of my mom saying, Salvi, you cannot do this. I want to take this decision. I'm hearing the voice of my dad saying, if I was doing this, I won't be the one taking this decision, you know. So it's very important how the contributions of the elderly in our life can change how we live a life. Very, very, very key. And you know, sometimes when you have kids and it feels like they are not listening, they're not paying attention, you keep saying one thing over and over and over again. Trust me, 10 years down the line, your voice is the first thing they hear. They want to make the decision, they're hearing, oh, my mom used to say this, oh, my dad used to say this. It's very important we preserve the wisdom of the past for the present, for the future. It's very important. Ian, I'll be coming over to you with the next question. We have less than 15 minutes for this conversation. Tell us, what are the trade-offs? What are the trade-offs today? What trade-offs today could create irreversible consequences tomorrow? What are we doing now that can affect tomorrow?
All right. Well, I mean, I think it could be what we already have discussed. I think something irreversible could happen, like if we misuse like the most sophisticated AI. I mean, the technology advancement. I think it's all about human like emotion, like right. It's about human mental health. Because of the fast changing environment, many people are going through some mental health issues because they having difficulty keeping up with the pace of change of the world, and they feel like they are lagging behind, and they feel like they are left behind and they are left alone. There's nobody, especially nowadays in the digital world. Like people can live their life without seeing others in person, and that makes them even more isolated. So we really need to focus on human emotion, and once like human emotion is like sort of broken down, like it takes a lot of time to recover their mentality, and that's exactly what I went through as well. Like when I several years ago, and so hopefully like we would like to focus on this part so that not many suffer from this issue. Yeah.
Right. I agree with you. I agree with you, Ian. I would also say, we're living with the whole speed ideology. I think that's the trade-off. I think we should also slow down. We should think about the mental health of ourselves, our family, the children we're raising, the neighbors that is not our kids, people around us. I think we should not trade off our mental health. I also think we should not trade off privacy. I don't know, but I feel very uncomfortable with the ideology that people stream their family house, stream everywhere. I don't know. This is a personal take now. Privacy it shouldn't be negotiable. Nagawa, we're talking about trade-offs and we have less than 5 minutes. Just tell us briefly, what trade-offs can we not compromise? We shouldn't compromise on. Tell us.
I think definitely when you're saying mental health, that's like very important. Also, like make sure like any ethical like AI is being implemented. Like as you mentioned, privacy is one. So making sure there's like no like social like kind of like social like monitoring, and also like the fact that like kids at the moment, it's like if they're on social media too early, it's like basically these like tools that they're using are like keeping like are like carrying in a database of how they think, what they do, and how they mention. We definitely don't want that. We want to make
Yeah.
sure that things like that they're not basically they're because on the moment all those tools are free, right? And they're free because they want your data, so they can use your data for ads later on, or for like creating more services and things like that. We definitely don't want that for kids now, and we want to make sure as well that like AI does not with the amount of like energy it uses as well. We want to make sure that it helps create solutions just to mitigate mitigate climate change, because these kids are going to inherit like a planet later on. We want to make sure it's one where it's like it's livable. It's like not
Yeah.
because even at the moment we're seeing how the effects of climate change are already like quite visible. We want to make sure that like whatever AI solutions are there, like it helps them live in this planet, because there's no planet B. I think those are definitely one of the high trade-offs that we need to think about.
I totally agree with you, Nagawa. We have less than 5 minutes, so we're going to do a very brief one sentence line of words, and we're going to say what skills that shouldn't be automated or outsourced for young people. Cam, I would just one sentence. Tell us what skills do young people need that shouldn't be automated or outsourced?
Reliability.
I love that one.
Yeah,
Reliability.
in today's world, you need it because eventually you'll be in a relationship. You won't want to do something your spouse for something for your spouse, but you have to be reliable in all areas of life. Reliability will beat smarts.
I totally agree with you, Cam. Thank you very much. Beth, tell us one word.
One word. Oh, that's tricky. I would think empathy. I'll go with empathy.
I'm a big fan of empathy, Beth. I agree with you on that. We need more people to be empathetic in society. We do. Thank you. Dr. Helmut.
I'm going to go with my name, love.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the practice of loving yourself, loving others, it is the powerful energy that we have all been seeking this entire life experience. And if we don't preserve it and retain it in our youth, we have failed. We have
Right.
failed.
Love is important. Love is powerful. Love is preserving. We need love. David, please tell us.
Well, since all the good ones have been taken, no, I'm joking. I'm saying comprehension.
Comprehension.
Because a lot of times we're not comprehending, we're not understanding what's happening around us and what we need to do for ourselves. So I would say comprehension is a big thing going forward. I was going to say critical thinking, but I was like, that's 2 words. So.
Yeah. That what you just said now with comprehension, understanding reminded me of the verse that said something about wisdom being should ask for wisdom, but in all that gets, you should get understanding. Yeah, very important. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, every point has been already mentioned, I guess, but I would say, in terms of education, I think kids need sort of like a self-motivating ability, like so that they can push themselves forward to learn new things with critical thinking ability, and and actually, in many cases, it seems like the nowadays smart students become smarter when they use AI, like a technology like AI, not smart students become not smarter. I mean, I wouldn't say they become dumber, but actually it can happen. They can become dumber. Like if they don't know how to use it properly. So they need to. I think learning is about passion. It's about using our energy. So they need to learn how to motivate themselves, and they need to be more passionate about learning, which will make them be a more efficient learner, and that will make them have a better critical thinking abilities. I think.
Yeah, Ian, I think I would love us to stay more on this call if our time permits us. So self-motivation it is for me. Thank you very much. Nagawa, just one word and we can say goodbye.
Creativity helps in
Great.
problem solving. Definitely that.
Thank you very much, Nagao. I think I heard from all of you one of the most beautiful conversation and contribution. Thank you very much for joining this panel conversation. Your contributions, your perspectives, they were listened to, they were heard. The audience, I'm sure you learned a lot from this roundtable panel discussion. I had a very great pleasure listening to you and contributing. Our Gather was well panelists. Take care. Good night. From here, of course, good morning to you. Bye.